This is 5 Live Formula One with Jenny Gow.
Hello and welcome to qualifying for the Dutch Grand Prix, and I can tell you the party, it's officially started. Over 100,000 fans have poured into this beautiful Zandvoort seaside circuit to cheer on the man who is Max Verstappen. There are orange flares, even though they're meant to be not allowed, just rippling around in the wind, which is quite a strong breeze actually now, a crosswind here at the track. And almost every person who is here at the track feels like they are supporting Max Verstappen. They've got their hands in the air, the DJ has the bass pumped right up to the top. And Jack Nicholls, there's reason to be excited because their man has a 93-point lead in the championship, regardless of what happened in qualifying.
Yeah, but I think they're also excited because we're in for a great qualifying session here. This is, I don't know, I'm fully getting swept up in the whole Netherlands vibe this weekend, and I am more excited for this qualifying than I've been for a qualifying for a long time. Genuinely, this circuit is phenomenal. They're going to be going flat out around it. 3 teams could take pole. If Verstappen does it, the roof will come off. If he doesn't, then we're in for a fascinating Grand Prix. There's no bad outcome this afternoon. No bad outcome.
It's almost, this is what I imagine it's like to be like a World Cup final match. It's that elevation of excitement. The levels are just fever pitch, and because it's so skewed towards Max Verstappen fans, it just feels like this is an absolute home fixture for him to be able to go out there and perform at his very best. Beitske Visser is here, the W Series driver, and of course, kind of local gal. This track, it's just a gift that keeps on giving to us at the moment.
Yeah, it's a super cool track. It's very different to any other track, and yeah, I think the wind has changed a little bit as well, so I think the qualifying might be getting tricky with the sand.
Just describe to people at home what it is about this circuit that makes it so unique.
Well, the Netherlands is a very flat country, but then this track has a lot of up and down going with the dunes. And what makes it very different is that the wind is changing all the time and it's blowing sand on the track, especially now, like for about an hour, no one has driven, so might be a bit dirty out there. You have no runoffs, so you can't afford any mistake.
And there's banking, Jack. It's kind of proper old school, isn't it? The way that the cars head into turns, and there are different lines they can take. There are things that they can do that are just exciting to listen to and watch.
Yeah, as Beitske said, undulation, elevation, camber, those are the things that make great racetracks. You think of somewhere like Brands Hatch in the UK. Silverstone's a real oddity in how flat it is, but yet is still good. Spa, Nordschleife, all have a bit of banking here and there. The carousel at the Nordschleife, you know, we love a bit of camber.
Certainly do. Some of the best circuits. Laguna Seca comes to mind, and the corkscrew. Oh, my word, it's just spectacular. The sun is pouring down. It's pretty hot. Some of the marshals are just bopping along. Even one of the FIA bosses was having a little boogie as well in front of me. The atmosphere is contagious. I have to say thank you to all the marshals. Good on them, for a lot of them actually have come out from Britain. It's 5 or 6 just alone in the pit lane who have come out from the UK to help marshal here, and they are having a whale of a time. But there are 20 drivers anxiously waiting to get out. And this moment it's nerve-wracking, isn't it? There's a lot of pressure, especially, Beitske, when it's so close.
Yeah, we saw in practice that the lap times are very close between the top 3 teams. So yeah, it's going to be all about nailing that lap and putting everything together, and yeah, trying to stay away from the traffic as well.
So, Jolyon Palmer is also in the commentary box. I'm going to ask you, first and foremost, to call it. All the pressure goes on you first off.
Yeah. I still think Max Verstappen's going to be taking pole here. You know, he's going to be so.
You're getting more swept up in the Dutch fever than me.
That's not possible. I've never seen one man so excited this whole weekend. He's been buzzing. It's great though, and he's going to be feeding off this atmosphere. 100,000 fans in, 90% of which are wearing full-on orange. And the support is so clear, isn't it, for Max? It's a complete home event. He's not had the easiest of weekends so far. He's had a troublesome practice. I still back him to come back and take pole.
Okay. Beitske, let's come to you next. Who do you think will be on pole?
I have a feeling for Max as well.
Oh,
I think he will get find something extra for qualifying like he usually does. But yeah, it's going to be very tight. But I think Max.
Jack?
Oh, let's go Super Max. No. I actually think Leclerc. I think it'll be a Ferrari on pole. Probably Leclerc. That's what I'm reckoning.
Okay, I'll put my money on Hamilton. There we go. I've said it. Done it now. It's coming. Right, time to get the session underway and see who goes out, what they can do. 5 cars in the first session will go out. Over to you, Jack Nicholls.
And no one's in a particularly rush to head out. Very short circuit here. Second shortest on the calendar, I believe, behind Monaco. And so they've got a long time to get ready. Sainz and Leclerc don't even have any wheels on the car yet. Out go the 2 Haas drivers, Schumacher and Magnussen. As Jenny says, this first part of qualifying is all about being in the top 15 and getting through there. And then we'll go on to the second part of qualifying, the battle to get into the top 10. And then it will be the pole position shootout here on this glorious sunny day. 26 degrees, the air temperature at the moment. Track temperature's up to 38.8. And actually that's something that we heard the drivers saying earlier on, is that they only really get one good lap before the tyres are gone.
Yeah, that was already this morning when the track was a lot cooler than now. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to try not to heat the tyres too much in the fast corners and just keep them alive for the one lap.
Yeah, absolutely. So Albon heading out, Gasly, Tsunoda, Bottas, Joe and Latifi all making their way onto the circuit. AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo are 2 teams that I think are in a bit of trouble this afternoon, because neither really looked particularly quick during the free practice session earlier on. The 2 Haas cars are the first 2 out. We were dipping into the 1-minute 11s, the high 1-minute 11s earlier in practice, so I imagine pole position is going to be in the low 111s or maybe even into the 1-minute 10s as Kevin Magnussen slings his way out of Arie Luyendyk, the final corner on the circuit. The former Dutch racing driver who competed in the Indy 500. Did he win the Indy 500, Arie Luyendyk? Julian?
I don't know. You've thrown me under the bus with that. American motorsport, not my area of expertise. He's a big name around here, that's what I do know. And he's got a fantastic bank final corner where the drivers for this year can use DRS through.
Yeah, absolutely. So that'll make a bit of a difference come the race. Magnussen's through the first sector, up at Skyflack now and heading into the next sequence of corners at turns 8 and turn 9 before he then doubles back on himself through the left-hander of turn 10, which has ended up being quite a tricky corner for a lot of the drivers so far this weekend. But Magnussen gets through fairly cleanly. Schumacher had some good pace earlier on. And in fact, both Haas cars looked fairly quick in free practice 3. It is still just those back markers, if you will, that have left the pits. The 2 Haas, the 2 Alfa Romeo, the 2 AlphaTauri and the 2 Williams. I think at the end of Q1 in particular, traffic's going to be quite tough. Everybody trying to find space. I think we saw, was it Vettel last year, sort of dive bombing someone at the final corner, because you really want some space around here.
Yeah, I think the quick teams are waiting a little bit to see how the track is and to save a bit of tires, but at the end the track will be the quickest, so everybody will be on track then, and practice was already a bit of a mess, so yeah, I think the traffic jam in the last corner will be interesting.
It's actually a decent time Magnussen set straight away in this session. He's matched what he did in final practice earlier on when the cars were also on soft tyres in a quali sim. So it doesn't look like the track is in particularly bad nick, even with the wind and the possibility of a bit of sand. There's a flare been let off out of the final corner, just whispering, hovering in the haze. I'll leave you to it.
That's some great description. 13 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock for those of you wanting to sync up. 37, 36, 35. Jenny Gao.
Yeah, it's worth keeping an eye as Max Verstappen prepares to go out of his garage on the Aston Martins, who have been going well so far this weekend. Lance Stroll particularly impressive yesterday in practice. And also the Williams of Alex Albon. He's got his finger taped up. I've asked the team, no issues there, just a little bit of support, extra support maybe needed. But yeah, those teams seem to be doing slightly better around here than one would normally expect.
Yeah, and that's why all of a sudden Alpha Tauri in particular and Alfa Romeo are struggling towards the back of the order and have had to go out in the early stages of this first qualifying session. Verstappen is out on circuit now as he comes around turn 3. Hugenholtz, named after the designer of this circuit, and then making his way towards Skyflak as Verstappen looks for his 17th career pole position this afternoon. And he started from pole and won from pole last season. Looks like it's going to be a trickier prospect for him this time around, but both Beitske and Jolien have backed him for pole, so we'll see what happens. But every time he comes through, the crowd are on their feet. And Jenny compared this to a football match earlier, like a home, World Cup final or a home advantage, etc. I've never been to a football match like this. Have you? Where is this going off?
I haven't personally. It's pretty raucous around 4.2 kilometres. That's the difference between this and a football match. It's all in around the stadium, isn't it? So it's a stadium, it's compact, and the chants sometimes ring out. You've probably never been to Selhurst Park, where the atmosphere is absolutely rocking. But the Molyneux maybe not quite cutting through like that.
Come on.
But it's 4.2 kilometres here. That's the difference. It's over such a big space. 100,000 plus fans. And the Max Verstappen's support in Austria, in Belgium, in Hungary is fairly raucous, but here it's just on another level. They would love their man to take pole.
Is it bigger than last year, do you think?
Yes, because last year was not full capacity allowed because of COVID. So I think last year was only the grandstands, and now you see people in the dunes as well everywhere. So a lot more people now. It doesn't matter where you look, but you see orange people.
Yeah, absolutely. 11 minutes and 14 seconds to go. Arie Luyendyk won the Indy 500 in 1990 and 1997. Lance Stroll is quickest so far on a 1 minute 12.505. Less than a tenth ahead of Sebastian Vettel, his teammate at Aston Martin. Joe is in third place, Magnussen fourth, Schumacher fifth, Bottas in sixth. Verstappen coming past the grandstands. Seventh is Albon, eighth is Gasly, and then it's Latifi, who's the slowest of the drivers so far. So those are the sort of bottom 6 or 8, you would say, that are going to be fighting to try and get through. Ricciardo has come across the line to go quickest. Max Verstappen now goes to the top of the times on a 1 minute 11.3. So the lap times are going very quickly, very fast indeed. So this is definitely going to be a 1 minute 10 pole time. But again, Perez comes across the line, and he is a second slower, only a tenth ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Here come the Ferraris. Leclerc goes second, 8 tenths away from Verstappen. Carlos Sainz is coming out of the final corner now in the other Ferrari. Doesn't look as though he's going to beat Verstappen's time, and he doesn't. Does the fastest final sector, less than half a second away from Verstappen. But it's just another time for Verstappen where he goes out, does a lap, and he's miles quicker than everyone else, straight out the blocks.
Yeah, it seems like every time a session starts, the first lap of Max is way quicker than the rest, and then during the session, the rest catches up.
Exactly, and they've got 4 tenths to find, Sainz to Verstappen. Leclerc's got 4 tenths to find to his teammate. Russell and Hamilton through the first sectors now, and Russell is fractionally quicker through the first third of the lap, but they're both 2 tenths slower than Verstappen has managed. Again, we kind of saw this in practice though, didn't we?
He was very strong earlier on in final practice on that first lap. He's got a march on everyone though. The Ferraris are well adrift. The Mercedes are on about par with Sainz through 2 sectors. Verstappen is up the road from all of them. He's a full second clear of Perez as well. Magnussen, in fact, in the Haas has gone clear of Sergio Perez now. He's shuffled down to 5th. It's about to be 7th because the 2 Mercedes are coming through. Can they challenge the Ferraris? Yeah, they can. Russell actually only 2 tenths down on Verstappen. That's a great lap.
Got a nice toe off Daniel Ricciardo as he came across the line. Hamilton goes up into 3rd place. Russell's 2 tenths away. Hamilton also 2 tenths away. So the Mercedes looking a little bit more in the mix compared to the Red Bulls, with the Ferraris just a little further back.
I actually fancy Mercedes this weekend. I think this could be one of their best shots of a win for the rest of the season. 8 races to go, haven't won. That's their main target. And I think this track will just suit them. It's the similar sort of layout to Hungary, high downforce, where Russell was on pole just a couple of races ago. They've had a good start.
Background safe release there by Norris. Copy that.
So that's George Russell complaining about an unsafe release by Lando Norris, who was released into the path of Yuki Tsunoda, and the stewards will investigate it after the race. And Max Verstappen, oh, he's had just a moment.
Big moment in the last corner.
Was that during his quick lap?
Oh Yeah.
It was during his quick lap. He's only done one flying lap. He crossed the line in that one. That was during his quick lap, and he must have had to back out of the throttle. And he almost looped it straight into the gravel, where you can get beached, as we saw in practice with Yuki Tsunoda yesterday.
We were talking a lot yesterday about Max's driving style and being happier with the rear end, and he's had two really big snaps today, hasn't he? One out of turn 3, and then that one there.
I think he likes oversteer.
Yeah, and I think he can deal with it.
His car control's second to none, isn't it? That's why he's so good in the wet. He's very quick. You can feel out the grip, and when he goes slightly over, it's rare to see a sort of catastrophic error from Max. In fact, when he went off in Spain in the race this year, in dry conditions, that was an absolute anomaly.
Yeah.
And he still won the race by miles.
Yeah. So Verstappen quickest, Russell second, Hamilton third, fourth is Sainz, fifth is Norris, fifth is now Zhou. So Zhou has just gone up into fifth place. Alonso's gone up into fourth position now. So Sainz is down to fifth, Leclerc's down to eighth, Leclerc's now down to ninth because Ocon has improved. Yuki Tsunoda's improving as well here in the AlphaTauri, and he goes up into sixth position ahead of Zhou. So Leclerc's getting shuffled back and back, and the Ferraris are going to need to run again.
Yeah, the track evolution is actually pretty high then. Even though the first laps were not bad, the track is just getting better and better. 20 drivers out there running a soft tyre, just depositing bits of rubber on the racing line. Everyone is improving. Zhou in seventh has run 2 sets of tyres then in the Alfa Romeo and found a heap. The Alpines went very late out of the pit, so they've saved a set of early tyres, and Alonso's gone fourth with that. So taking advantage of the better track is leaving some big names out of the top 10 right now. Leclerc 12th, Perez is down in 15th.
Yeah, Vettel comes across the line to go 16th fastest, fractionally slower than Perez, but Perez and Leclerc are going to need to use another set of tyres here. I'm convinced of it, because they are so far down the field. Sainz might be able to get through just about in fifth position, 0.4 of a second away from Verstappen, but about 0.6 clear of the drop zone in 15th place. But I think Leclerc is going to need to go again. He's still out on circuit, isn't he? He's pushing this time around. Is he on the same set of tyres?
Same set of tyres. Both he and Sergio Perez are trying to improve on that first set of tyres. Perez is coming through now. The sound you can hear, and he goes to fourth. So that's much better from Perez. Puts him safe for now, and Leclerc's just behind him on track, should also jump right up the times.
He comes out of the final corner of Arie Luyendyk, the 1990 and 1997 Indy 500 winner, and he goes up into second place, fastest final sector of anyone. So that's a lot more pace in that Ferrari on the second lap then on those soft tyres. So Verstappen quickest, Leclerc second, Russell third, Hamilton fourth, Perez fifth, Alonso sixth, all separated by just 0.3. Sainz probably safe in 7th position. Tsunoda is 8th, Zhou is 9th, Stroll is 10th. Gasly, Ocon, Norris, Bottas and Magnussen are the top 15. 5 minutes to go. Eliminated as it stands would be Vettel, Ricciardo, Albon, Schumacher and Latifi. So again, we expected a lot from McLaren this weekend, but they're not really anywhere at the moment.
Yeah, I think it just shows that the track is improving massively. Like AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo were really struggling before, and now they're in the top 10. And also with Charles improving on the second lap, there was no chance that they could do that this morning. So yeah, I'm expecting in the last few minutes that everyone will go out and improve again.
Yeah, and as we were saying earlier on, Verstappen was saying he can't get more than 1 lap out of these tyres, but Leclerc has done 2 runs and improved.
Yeah, those in the drop zone, the picture's slightly blurry because Tsunoda, Zhou, the Alfa Romeos and AlphaTauris, basically, they went out so early in the session. They were the ones that you mentioned at the top of the hour who were going to be in trouble. They've run 2 sets of tyres, so they found a big load of time on their second run. Aston Martin have looked good so far in this weekend. Vettel's down in 16th, but he's only used 1 set, as has Daniel Ricciardo. So there's more to come. Also, Haas had looked decent with Mick Schumacher earlier. So
but they're all going to get another run, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they will, but they've not. They've only had the first run. Whereas what you find the biggest leap will be first to second, and then it's a little bit if you can find more on the third. And so that's where AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeos, I think, are going to slide down towards the drop zone.
3-0. Whoa, lock up from Alex Albon as he comes into turn 3 as he tries to escape the drop zone, currently down in 18th place. Jenny?
Yeah, if you're just checking out who's had what poles, it's 4 for Max. Leclerc's had 7, Russell 1, Sainz 1, and none so far for Hamilton.
Huge first sector from Alex Albon. I mean, not ginormous, but 4/10 quicker than Kevin Magnussen, who's the driver on the bubble in 15th position. Has Albon gone a little soon here, perhaps?
Well, he's a tenth and a half away from Verstappen's first sector. It is really good from Albon. The Williams was good in the first sector earlier on in practice as well, but the time was just losing a little bit throughout. 6/10 down now through 2 sectors. If he closes the lap, he'll jump up out of the drop zone well, but everyone else can improve. He has gone quite early.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. There was a lot of directives last year, wasn't there, to get space on the track. You weren't allowed to wait at the end of the pit lane, so we'll see what people are doing there. Albon goes up to 7th ahead of Sainz. Sainz is still in the pits here. Has Sainz got time to get out? He must be on his way out, Carlos Sainz, in the Ferrari, because Albon's ahead of him. He must be leaving the pits. He just must be.
Yeah, he's just talking to yourself there. Yeah. We can't see him from where we're sitting in the commentary box. He's still in for now. Gasly's left the pits. He was the last driver below Sainz to have been in there. He's left. 2 minutes 10. There's time for Carlos to get out there and go. Albon's time is good though. He actually didn't lose anything to Verstappen in the final sector either. So it's actually a pretty handy time that Albon's done in the Williams.
He's out the pits. Sainz leaves the pits, so he is going to get out there and get another lap on the board, because he is currently in 8th place. So the order that's about to shuffle a lot is Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, Perez the top 5, Alonso, Albon, Sainz, Tsunoda and Zhou the top 10, Stroll, Gasly, Ocon, Norris, Bottas are the drivers that would make it through at the moment. Eliminated would be Magnussen, Vettel, Ricciardo, Schumacher and Latifi, but they're all going much, much quicker in the first sectors.
That's the track evolution. Big pressure right now on Ricciardo and Schumacher. Their futures are up for grabs really in 8 races time. Ricciardo's leaving McLaren. Schumacher is under big pressure at Haas, and Schumacher's shown pace so far this weekend. This would be a chance if he can get in a points finish here. It might be the sort of thing that can save his Formula 1 career even. It could be as dramatic as that. Oh. And he's quite quick through 2 sectors. Magnussen
really throwing it into the chicane, taking so much speed in. He was a 10th up after the middle sector, didn't do a personal best in the middle sector, comes out of the final corner. Lance Stroll has just done the fastest first sector of anybody. Vettel is flying as well in the Aston Martin. Magnussen goes up to 12th, so Norris is now shuffled down. Schumacher goes up into 8th position in the Haas, but Bottas is going quicker than Ocon's time. Ocon's now in 15th and on the bubble. Norris, Bottas, Vettel, Ricciardo and Latifi eliminated as it stands, but Norris is improving.
Vettel is going purple sector 1.
Yeah, Vettel's gone quicker than Stroll in Sector 1, so the Aston Martins, we were expecting some pace. They now appear to be showing it. Zhou goes up into 10th.
Ocon's first sector is pretty horrible, actually, and he's down in 15th place. So Ocon in the Alpine, he's half a second down on Vettel's first sector. He's got a lot to find to stay in. That Alpine's got some pace. Alonso's 6th, but Ocon's got 2 sectors to find a huge amount of time.
Stroll goes 4th quickest. Nicholas Latifi comes across the line, and he comes across the line in a moment. Ricciardo only goes 17th. Ricciardo looks like he is out of the running, isn't he? And Vettel has backed off. Checkered flag is out. Vettel's been off, I think, because he looks like he had very dusty tyres. Norris goes up into 3rd place. Lando Norris gets up into 3rd position. Checkered flag is out. Tsunoda goes up into 2nd spot. So Zhou and Bottas and Magnussen are the drivers at risk. Bottas gets shuffled down. Esteban Ocon is getting lower down there as well. So Vettel's going to be eliminated. Vettel's taken the checkered flag. He was on a great lap, as Beitske said, but I think he's been in the gravel somewhere, and Bottas doesn't make it through either. So Bottas, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Vettel and Latifi, the 5 drivers eliminated. Bottas, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Vettel and Latifi out. I don't know what happened to Latifi on his 2nd lap, because he must have made a mistake. Must have been at sky flag, because he was green all the way through the first sector and then lost time. Bottas out in 16th. Good effort from Zhou. Well, that was busy in the end, but another tough day for Ricciardo.
It's crazy to see from P1 to being out is just half a second. I don't think we've ever seen that before.
Yeah, that's actually so close. It's a shorter circuit, so time is shorter, but it's very, very tight. Vettel must have made a mistake, but Sainz in the end, did he bail out of his lap in the end? He must have done, but he was only 2 places away from going out.
I don't know if he actually properly went for it in the last lap. I think he might have seen it. He was out there to just cover it off. Oh, Vettel's had a trip through the gravel. That's why he set the fastest first sector of anyone, Sebastian Vettel, which still stands. He was on a lap and then through the penultimate corner.
I think he was a bit wide and dirty on the way in. I think he was a bit on the grass on the way in and got dirt on the tyres.
He was.
And then he rejoined just in front of the... I wonder, well, that was Norris who came through. So there wouldn't have been a yellow flag because Norris arrived at the scene so promptly. Sounded like he had a little lift there as well, Lando Norris. So he's through in 5th place.
Yeah, still jumped to 5th. Sonoda ends that in 3rd. The track evolution made that fascinating and high pressure and drama in the end there, because the last lap had to be the killer lap. Sainz survived only in 14th place, as you said, and only by a couple of tenths over those in the drop zone.
Magnussen, did he go all 4 wheels off? I think he did. So he went all 4 wheels off at turn 3 over the white line. So his lap time may be deleted, but he's 17th anyway, so it doesn't particularly matter. Another good job from Alex Albon to get through in 10th place. Latifi was nowhere in that session. 2.5 away from making it through, a second slower than anyone else, and 11.6, 1.8 seconds slower than Albon. So he must have made we had this discussion before, didn't we? He must have made a mistake.
Guys, what's happened to Bottas this year? He's out-qualified by Zhou. I'm impressed by Zhou, but I am disappointed in Valtteri at the same time. And Alfa Romeo 15th to 16th. It's well done to Zhou for getting through. It's always a great achievement to out-qualify Valtteri Bottas. The more experienced, he's been on pole, he's won races at Mercedes. But his season is petering into absolute nothingness from being a really high achiever in the midfield. Now, Zhou's getting a little bit worse from where he was earlier on, so the performance of the Alfa Romeo is definitely drifting away.
But Zhou's getting better compared to Bottas, right?
Absolutely. So is Bottas just getting lost in this Alfa Romeo season, and that's why the performance was gone? Because if Zhou was 15th earlier on in the season, which is where he's at now, Bottas would be 8th, and you'd have that level of gap. But Zhou's still 15th, but just Bottas is 16th. So is Zhou doing a cracking job in an Alfa Romeo that's becoming a dog, or is Bottas just off the boil at the moment? It's interesting, and it's just, you have to say, Zhou, you can only compare drivers against their teammates, and Zhou's been really impressive this season to take the fight to Valtteri.
Well, the party's starting in between Q1 and Q2. As you can hear, the fans in the grandstand waving their arms around. Do you know all these songs, Beitske? Because we come here and we don't really know what the songs are, but are these all your regular, Spotify playlists?
Well, this is not really my Spotify playlist that I play at home, but yeah, I do know quite a few of the songs here.
Well, feel free to sing along at any point.
I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
Magnussen has had his lap time deleted, a 1 minute 12.0, but eliminated again, just to remind you, Bottas, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Vettel and Latifi and Jenny Gao.
I was not eliminated, you'll be pleased to know, but I was never in the mix. I'm just wondering, I look at Ricciardo's form out there, and when you have lots of things playing out in the media, there's a lot of speculation what's going to happen. Will he stay in F1? Will he not? All of the kerfuffle over the last few days with the contract recognitions board for Piastri, and it must be quite an unsettling time for the whole of McLaren and for Alpine, but especially for Daniel Ricciardo. And I just wonder how much, as drivers, does that affect you? You're aware of it? Could it be, a contributing factor to his time today?
Palmer thrived under the speculation.
My best ever result was when I was told I was going to be leaving the team at Renault in 2017. I still think when you put the helmet on, I think it's very easy to blank out the noise and focus on, drivers. Put the helmet on, visor down, you get out on track and you just do your thing. So I don't think it makes a massive difference. Sport in general is a real psychological game, so there is an element there. There's probably more pressure on Daniel because he doesn't know what he's doing next year, and he's on this disappointing run. So you want to have the momentum, you want to have the confidence. He's only half a second down on Lando, but it's just around here. That's a fair amount when the rest of the margins are so small. I feel a bit bad for him. He's such a smiley guy that seems to be in a complete rut at the moment.
It's tough to see, that's for sure. Do you think that'll be playing on his mind at all, or is it, like Jolien says, once the helmet's on, you're focused?
I feel like he's a bit in a situation where the car doesn't suit his driving style, maybe as well, and then at that point it's very easy to lose yourself and try to overthink, and you just get in like a downward spiral, and it's difficult to find the way out of it, because I think he's a lot better than he shows right now.
Yeah, and I think almost I haven't come across many people in the paddock who don't think that. You know what I mean? I haven't come across many people who are like, oh no, yeah, Ricciardo's washed up, Ricciardo's done. You know, you don't come across that opinion at all. Everybody thinks this is just a bit weird and doesn't make any sense, and he is better than this.
Because you can't go from being a great driver to being, statistically one of the worst on the grid in terms of the teammate comparisons. He's in a McLaren that Norris has just put 5th, and he's down in 17th, and it's consistent. It's a really mysterious case, the Daniel Ricciardo one. He doesn't just lost the talent overnight. It'll be a bit of groove, a bit of confidence from the team, and as Beitske says, something on the car that's just not working out for him, or something in the team, and he is leaving. I think it'd be a great thing for him to get out of there and just have a reset, whatever happens next for Daniel.
Second part of qualifying underway. 14 minutes and 11, 10, 9, 8 seconds on the clock, and Alex Albon has departed the pit lane in the Williams, makes his way due west, away from the North Sea, before turning right at Skyflak and then right again at turn 8 and heading back towards the North Sea. And the red flag is out. So it must be a bit of debris or something out on circuit. And we were just watching Jost Capito, the team principal of Williams, on the pit wall, and when he saw the red flag come out, knowing Albon was the only driver out there, he sort of had a little mini heart attack. Then he's seen Albon still circulating. There's a flare on the track. So that'll do it. Looks as though the flare has landed sort of in the middle of the circuit. So a marshal's got to go and pick that up. Is a flare hot? Is that a stupid thing to ask?
I've never held one.
Have you ever said... You're Dutch, you must have set off a flare.
Oh, I haven't, actually.
Yeah. Because is it... Anyway. Oh, it's blown off the track anyway.
I don't think they're hot, are they?
That's the thing. I think they
do
just
hold them.
I don't think it's the same
without needing sort of fire mittens.
Yeah.
Do you not, Paddy, Paddy, that's our producer. Paddy too, maybe, but also Jack. Do you not remember we had a conversation about flares the other night? And I gave you a little science lesson via the internet, saying they just pop and then go, like a party popper. Oh, was it the paddock we were chatting about it? So they don't get like a party popper doesn't get too hot if you don't put your hand where the pop bit goes.
Yeah.
So they handle with care. But I thought flares are banned.
Yeah, there's a ton of pigeons around.
Roger.
Albon saying there's lots of pigeons around. We saw some pigeons in free practice 3. George Russell mentioned the pigeons on the apex of turn 7.
Maybe someone sent the flare to clear the pigeons, and it made the situation worse.
They only forgot that was a complete different corner.
Yeah, exactly. There's quite a lot of pigeons, actually. We're seeing 4 on our...
They seem to be all in the same corner, though, all in Skyflak.
Yeah, exactly.
In fairness, they're right over the apex. No one's going to cut the apex of Skyflak, the quickest corner on the circuit.
They're safe.
So they are safe there. And it's a hot day. The breeze a Formula 1 car is going to generate coming through there at 160 miles per hour. I imagine that's quite a relief on a warm September day.
Session will resume in 3 minutes' time. Verstappen in the pit lane. This no one else had left the pit, so it's only Albon that gets a little bit scuppered by this red flag. But even then, he'd only done an outlap, so it's not going to completely change the world for Alex Albon, who did a very good job of getting through there.
He was only out on a used tyre as well, so that was Albon just getting a sighter for a new tyre run to come. So he hasn't even lost a set of tyres with that. It's not really made any particular difference.
So, as I say, session will resume in a couple of minutes' time. They've actually sent some marshals out to chase the pigeons away from the apex of Skyflak. So we're now in an episode of... Was it Catch the Pigeon? That was a TV show, wasn't it? Catch the Pigeon.
Or was it just a song from it rings a bell.
Wasn't it the same people who did like Wacky Races and stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was the Wacky Races. God, nostalgia from my childhood now. You're right.
2 minutes and 24 seconds to go. until the session gets back underway. As I say, no one had set a lap time. Albon had just been out on a used set of tyres. Everybody else was still in the pit lane, so this little delay won't really affect anybody. Verstappen was the quickest in that first part of qualifying, fractionally quicker than Hamilton. Both improved at the end, but they were only a tenth ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, so it is going to be a really, really interesting last couple of minutes here. And I'm surprised that Sainz didn't get that lap in. He's there down in 14th place going into that, so right on the bubble. And Sergio Perez did manage to make it through. He went up into 9th place, but is Perez in danger here, Beitske, of not making it into Q3?
I mean, Sainz is going to be up there again. It could be quite tricky for him, especially because it's so close. So, I mean, if you look at how close it is between like all of them, a small mistake could kick you out very easily.
And also a mistake here can often breed a yellow flag or a red flag too, because there's no margin for error. So you need to get a good lap in on your first run. Jenny?
I think that's why everybody loves this circuit so much, because there is a real jeopardy, isn't there, involved in it. As you say, when the times are so close to each other, just the smallest mistake can mean such a big difference. And then if you take the race into account as well tomorrow, with the possible difficulty of overtaking, this is why this is so important to everybody. It's good stuff. First car coming out just at pit exit, actually, and it's the Williams of Alexander Albon that lines up first to go out.
Okay, so keen to get out, Albon. There's still 34 seconds till the session begins. Nobody else is joining him at the end of the pit lane just yet. Whether he goes out again on those used tyres, we'll have a look just to get a sighter perhaps ahead of a push. I think Albon getting into Q3 is a little wide of the mark, even though he has managed it in recent races. I think that it's not a car that necessarily, not a circuit that necessarily suits the Williams car, as the light goes green at the end of the pit lane now, and Alex Albon can depart and make his way out onto the circuit for the second part of qualifying. And again, a reminder that they can use the soft tyres in this second part of qualifying. They don't have to start the race on the tyres that they do Q2 on anymore. Verstappen going out on a used set of soft tyres, so that's going to be his first run in Q2 on a used set of softs, and he's going out quite early compared to everybody else. Just Albon and Verstappen out on circuit, and I don't really need to tell you when Verstappen's on circuit, do I? Because you can hear the cheers as he makes his way around the pit lane exit and joins the track. So Albon and Verstappen and Perez all out. The Mercedes still sitting in the pits with 13 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Albon at the far end of the circuit. The Ferraris still in the pit lane as well, just biding their time, ready for their first run. Traffic didn't seem too bad actually at the end of that first part of qualifying.
Yeah, I think probably because everyone was on the same strategy there. But yeah, I think Max just wants to get a bank lap in now, just in case there's another red flag or some issues. And it's very easy to make a small mistake around this track. You need to really put the lap together. So yeah, I think it's good to have at least a bank lap in there.
Turn 3 especially seems really sort of, I don't know, alien, the way that drivers drive that, you know, because if it was flat you'd take a completely different line.
Yeah, if you look at the old track, everyone would take the inside. You would exit turn 2 completely on the outside, not even come back to the right side. But now with the banking, it's the higher you go up, the more grip you have. So you just can carry so much speed around there that you have to go up there.
Absolutely. Verstappen across the line to start a lap. Andrew says, it was Stop the Pigeon. It was a Dick Dastardly and Muttley spin-off, separate to Wacky Races, apparently. Thank you for that, Andrew. 11 minutes and 47 seconds to go. Verstappen coming through the first sector. Albon's done a 24.7 in sector 1. Verstappen will come through it in a moment, and he does a 24.9, which is still a couple of tenths slower than Sebastian Vettel managed in the first sector last time in Q1, but Verstappen is on a used set of tyres. Perez has actually gone quicker than Verstappen in the first sector. He may be on a new set, Sergio Perez, with 11 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Verstappen heads down towards the chicane now. And again, the fans rise to their feet and cheer Verstappen through, and then heading out towards the final couple of corners. Verstappen quicker than Perez in the middle sector, though, by a good couple of tenths. So Verstappen is quicker overall. Albon's done a 1 minute 12.078, but Verstappen is about to go quicker than that and does a 1 minute 10.927 for Max Verstappen. 1 minute 10.927.
Even on used tyres, he's quicker than he was before with new.
Yeah,
That's incredible, isn't it? With used tyres, he's gone out and done the fastest lap of the weekend so far, into the 1 minute 10s. Perez comes through and does a 1 minute 11.3, which actually would have been the quickest lap of the weekend so far, apart from Verstappen's. So the track is just getting better and better. Even on the used tyres, they're able to find time. And those front runners didn't put on a new set at the end of Q1. So
yeah, I guess because Max's lap was the first one in Q1, and then he didn't drive after anymore, so he never had the track improvement.
Yeah, exactly. And with everyone closing up, and Yuki Tsunoda going third and Norris going fifth, that's because the big guns didn't go again at the end. So they're finding that pace now.
10 minutes and 2 seconds on the clock. Verstappen quickest, Perez second, Albon third. 10 minutes to go. Hamilton is on a lap now, comes through the first sector, does a 24.5, which again is a few tenths slower than Sebastian Vettel has managed. Into the final corner comes the Ferrari. That's the sound you can hear of Charles Leclerc accelerating through the bank right-hander of Arie Luyendyk and out across the line to start a lap. George Russell is coming into the chicane, and after Lando Norris has done the fastest first sector of anyone, Russell's middle sector is a little away as well. So Verstappen has now returned to the pits, as has Alex Albon.
New tyres for the Mercedes here.
Really?
Used tyres for Red Bull, used tyres for Ferrari, but with Russell on new tyres, goes half a second down.
1 minute 11.4 for Russell. That's only a tenth quicker than he managed in the first part of qualifying. It's an 11.0 for Hamilton, which is a bit better, but still slower than Verstappen on his used tyres. Lando Norris has done the fastest first sector of anybody, rumbles over the curbs on the exit of the penultimate corner, and now drives towards the line. Schumacher jumps up into 6th place. Lando Norris comes through, and he goes up into 5th position. So slower than George Russell, but only fractionally. Fastest first sector of anyone again, coming for Lance Stroll. Him and Vettel looked very quick in the first sectors in the first part of qualifying. Leclerc and Sainz are out to cut the beam. 8 tenths for Charles Leclerc away from Verstappen. Sainz out of the final corner now in the other Ferrari, and he goes 6 tenths slower than Verstappen. Another big lap from Verstappen straight out of the blocks. It's just every time he goes out on his first lap, you know it's going to be big.
Maybe he's actually quicker on the first lap than the second lap.
Yeah, it seems that way.
But both Red Bulls are quick here. They're both on used tyres. I'd double check it, but we saw Max, didn't we, leaving the pits on the used tyres. And they're ahead of the Mercedes. Lance Stroll does a great lap. The Aston Martin pit crew giving him a round of applause for jumping up to 4th place ahead of George Russell. So Ferrari on the used tyres are nowhere, 6 and 8 tenths away. Mercedes on new tyres can't match Red Bull on used at this stage. They're unleashing some pace.
Yeah, there's a lot to play out here in the closing stages of this second part of qualifying. At the moment, everybody bar Fernando Alonso has set a lap. Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, Stroll, Russell, the top 5. Norris, Sainz, Leclerc, Albon and Gasly are the top 10. Eliminated would be Ocon, Zhou, Tsunoda, Schumacher and Alonso. So those are the 5 drivers that at the moment would be knocked out, but Alonso doesn't have a lap time on the board. Jenny.
Yeah, just thinking about Red Bull, they weren't happy with the setup of the car yesterday. Max Verstappen lost a lot of time. They had a transmission issue. And I think they did a lot of work overnight on the setup of the car. They wanted to change a lot, which they weren't really able to do in the second practice session yesterday. And the car looks in a very comfortable place. It just looks like a different car from the one that they had yesterday.
It looks different to this morning as well, to be honest, because the pace wasn't quite there this morning. Alonso is coming out of turn 10 now and heading down towards the chicane. After the middle sector split, he is 3 tenths up on Pierre Gasly's time, who's currently in 10th position. So this has the potential of putting Alonso in with the Ferraris, who are 7th and 8th at the moment. 6 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock. Alonso through the final corner, all the way around the sort of 2 corners that create the 180-degree loop, and he goes 8th. So he does split the Ferraris, Fernando Alonso. Albon down into 10th place. Eliminated at the moment now would be Gasly, Ocon, Zhou, Tsunoda, and Schumacher. 6 minutes to go. This is going to be a really, really interesting fight. I think Verstappen and Hamilton are safe. Perez maybe is, but everyone else is going to have to go again here.
I think if you look at the drivers like 11 to 15, they were a lot quicker before. Like Yuki, for example, was a second quicker in Q1, so they still have a lot of margin to improve. So I think nothing's been said yet for who will be in or out.
In the midfield last week, Alpine were the heroes, scoring big points with both cars. Alonso finished 5th when Leclerc had his penalty, and Ocon charged from the back of the field to finish 7th. They're on the back foot a little bit here. They use new tyres. Some of them around have been on the used tyres still, and Ocon is genuinely in 12th here. He's in a bit of trouble.
Norris, McLaren seem a little back on the pace. Not quite as exciting as they looked yesterday, but back a bit.
One of them, Ricciardo's 17th and out, whereas Norris is looking more established like he was yesterday, nibbling away at the big runners, up in 6th. It's not a surprise. We thought they'd be quick here, and I think it's just, again, hammers home where Ricciardo's just not in the right zone at the moment.
So less than 5 minutes to go. Alex Albon is again the first driver out on circuit on a set of soft tyres, and he comes down towards turn 1. Brand new set of softs for Albon as he comes into Tarzan. Swings into the right-hander, has a bit of a twitch, I think, sort of halfway through the corner, and then gets going into the right-hander of turn 2, then left into the banked Hugenholtz turn. The projected knockout time is an 11.5, give or take 0.2, which is quite a big give or take, to be honest, but that means that Albon would need to find half a second, so we'll see whether he can do that.
Albon improves his first sector even with that mistake in turn 1.
Yeah, so this is good stuff from Alex Albon. He's in the middle sector now, through the right-hander of 8, and then the next right-hander of 9, then swings it back left into turn 10. But again, he's gone out a lot earlier than everybody else, maybe just to get clear track here, Alex Albon, and it's working for him at the moment. What's he doing compared to Verstappen? He's 7/10 from Verstappen in the first 2 sectors, so he's only, I don't think he's going to improve his places. I think he'll remain in 10th place, but might be able to improve his lap time. Through the final corner at Aaron Leyendyke he comes, and the timing beam is waiting. Everybody else is still in the pit lane. Albon across the line, and he goes 10th, remains 10th, but does improve the time to an 11.8. So that's the lap time set for Albon. I think that might not quite be enough.
Agreed. Albon had the track to himself there, so they went in the window. Maybe Williams worried about chance of yellow flags, red flags. The gravel runoff does draw out the mistakes, particularly right at the end of qualifying, where Sebastian Vettel found it. Chance of a yellow flag or a red, or even just everyone tripping over each other as they're now all leaving the pits together, is not low. And Williams just saying, you know what, we'll do our own thing. And Albon put together a neat enough lap after that first corner, slight error. I don't think it's going to be enough though. 10th for now, but Gasly and Ocon, Zhou was all right earlier, Tsunoda was very quick in Q1, and Schumacher, they'll all be having a stab at beating that 11.8 from Albon.
Schumacher's out-qualified Magnussen, as we were mentioning earlier on, so that's good news for the Haas driver. Everybody else leaving the pit lane now, so 3 minutes to go was definitely the time to depart. Verstappen is not going to be heading out for another run, nor is Hamilton, nor is Perez. Everybody else is, although Gasly hasn't left the pit lane yet, nor has Alonso. They will at some point, I'm sure, but with 2 minutes and 8 seconds left, Charles Leclerc has gone out for another run because he's only in 9th place. It wasn't a quick first lap for both Ferraris. Sainz in 7th and Leclerc in 9th. We saw in the last session that they were not quick on the first lap, but found a lot of pace on the second lap. So we'll see whether it's the same again.
Used tyres for them. They will find a heap on this lap. They've gone out early in the train as well. It's Charles Leclerc now launching up for a flying lap. Carlos Sainz is in a bit more traffic actually, with a few cars in between. He's just coming round the second sector on his outlap, so he is at more threat of tripping over someone. He's in 7th place at the moment. Leclerc should find, and needs to actually find, a big gain.
Yeah, he's down in 9th place at the moment, is Charles Leclerc. Comes through the first sector now, heading towards Skyflak. And what's he doing compared to Verstappen? He is up by almost 0.2 of a second. So that's a very strong first sector from Charles Leclerc. Now he's coming into turns 8 and 9. Joe is up on Albon in sector 1 as well, but that's a quick first sector from Leclerc.
I think everyone on track right now is improving, so the track is just still getting quicker and quicker.
Also improving was Lando Norris in the McLaren. He's on the fastest first sector of anybody. A little bit of traffic and squabbling for position there between Tsunoda and Schumacher coming into the chicane. No, sorry, it wasn't Tsunoda and Schumacher, but it was a squabble for position nevertheless with Tsunoda and somebody. Here comes the Ferrari out of the final corner. Charles Leclerc flashes through and heads towards the line. Checker flag is going to be out in about 25 seconds, but Leclerc goes second fastest. Fastest final sector of anyone, 600 slower than Max Verstappen. Now here comes Joe. The Alfa Romeo driver gets ahead of Alex Albon. Alonso comes across the line to start the lap. Norris goes up into 4th place. Sainz is down in 8th position, but he is improving and might actually go to the top of the times here. Mick Schumacher goes up into 8th position now. So that's a decent lap from Schumacher. Sainz now goes quickest. Alonso is the driver at risk at the moment in 10th place, and his teammate Esteban Ocon could push him out. He's coming around the final corner now. Alonso started a flying lap. George Russell is going really quickly on this lap. He could end up at the top of the times. Ocon goes into 10th, gets ahead of Fernando Alonso by 0.08 of a second, but Alonso is improving. Tsunoda is improving as well. Russell goes second fastest, only 100th slower than Carlos Sainz. Tsunoda up into 10th. The Alpine of Ocon is out, and we will see what Fernando Alonso can do. Has he lost time in the middle sector here, Alonso?
He did a good first sector, but his middle sector is dropping away. Alonso's under some pressure here. Both Alpines could be in danger of going out. Ocon's gone. Alonso might join him. Gasly needs to try and get himself up. 15th at the moment. He goes 11th, so Tsunoda beats Gasly. What about Alonso?
Here he comes around the final couple of corners, Fernando Alonso, and he doesn't improve. Remains in 13th place. Both Alpines eliminated. Gasly out in 11th, Ocon out in 12th, Alonso 13th, Joe 14th, Albon 15th. Fair play to Schumacher and Tsunoda, two drivers who are under a bit of pressure, quite simply, and they've both done a very good job there. Here's Alonso's radio.
Traffic, Red Bull in turn 8. I don't know what he was doing.
A Red Bull in turn 8. I wonder which one that was, because in qualifying, that's the thing that can be a slam dunk pen.
He lost a load of time. He actually found a big chunk compared to himself in the first sector. Here we go, on board then into turn 8, and it's Perez. It's Perez, and I don't think it was particularly terrible traffic. Fernando then had a big oversteer snap coming into turn 10 when he'd already gone past Perez. A little bit of a grey area, that one.
That'd be a tough one to give a grid drop for, wouldn't it?
I think so. I think Perez was far enough ahead, and probably it was a little bit of dirty air.
Solid qualifying and boxes left, box.
Yeah, copy. Thank you. Not an easy day for the team, but yeah, keep pushing.
It's Joe in 14th position.
It's tricky to get out the way in that middle sector, though, isn't it? It's very sort of twisty that you don't get a lot of clear sight behind you. Perez needs to be warned by his engineer about Fernando Alonso coming up. I think he's probably okay.
Yeah, it's difficult as this track because there's a lot of blind corners. You can't see far ahead, so you really need to rely on your engineers telling you where the other car is, because yourself you can't see it. The speed difference is too big.
Q3 will start at 15:54, so that is in 6 minutes time, 6 minutes and 15 seconds. So for the next 6 minutes and 15 seconds, let's go to Jenny Gao.
Thanks very much. Just looking at the results of that, and Schumacher, what a tremendous job he's done. P9 in the Haas. Magnussen was out in the first part of qualifying, also went 4 wheels over, so got his time deleted, I think you said. And Schumacher is a man under immense pressure. He doesn't have a contract in place for next year. The seats on offer seem to be diminishing on a daily basis almost, and the opportunities there for him. He was told earlier on, the press conference happened earlier on where his boss Günther Steiner was saying that he is in the frame at Haas, but then so are an awful lot of other drivers. But it's at times like that where you've really got to show what you can do. And he's done just that. Hats off to him. I'm really impressed by that performance.
That wasn't 6 minutes.
He's as pumped up as the crowd right now.
Yeah,
you want me to keep on going? I don't think anyone wants me to talk for 6 minutes. I mean, I could do it. It's been done in the past, but I don't think it makes for good radio.
No, but you're absolutely right about Schumacher. I mean, Haas have had good pace. Magnussen, don't know what happened with him in in Q1, but done a good job.
But and his seat is still up for grabs. It's not like the Ricciardo situation where Ricciardo has to find another seat. When it's your seat you're fighting for, it is a little simpler. And getting into Q3 is a great achievement for Mick under a bit of pressure, as you said, Jenny. What can he do from here? He's had pace all weekend. He's actually looked a little bit quicker than Magnussen this weekend. He's got Yuki Tsunoda there in Q3. Good job from Yuki. Lance Stroll as well. Good efforts from those guys in the AlphaTauri and the Aston Martin, but I think Mick's got to be looking at trying to get a top 8 out of this and not just rest on his laurels with a 10th, because at the end of the day the points are paid out tomorrow. If he can bring home some points, then he's actually outscored Kevin Magnussen since Magnussen's 5th place in Bahrain. Yeah. That's difficult to replace a driver that's actually, after the first race, been the stronger in the next 12.
Tsunoda as well, doing a good job.
Yeah, I think all three, Lance, Mick and Yuki, all out-qualified their teammates on a track like this, which is very difficult. Normally this is a track where the more confident you are in the car, the quicker you are, so you can make a bigger difference. So I think it's impressive from all three to be up there.
This is great stuff. I don't know if you're hearing the hopefully you're hearing the party going on as much as we are. We've got our window open now, just when the party gets going. We'll do our own audio uplap of the... oh, here we go. Let's do it. Oh, I thought they were going to do the singing bit. But yeah, absolutely buzzing. And we're heading for Q3, the battle for pole. Oh, this is an unclear one. I think this is a really unclear shout for pole. Maybe I'm coming round to Verstappen. Maybe I'm thinking...
And what you've forgotten is that Verstappen did that on one lap on a used tyre. And he got pipped by Sainz and pipped by Russell. Verstappen did that on one lap on a used tyre. This is Verstappen's quali from where I'm sitting right now.
What, easy peasy?
I think he's got a couple of tenths in there. I think he's got it by tenths.
Same thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said before, he usually finds something extra for qualifying. Even when they don't seem to have quite the pace in the sessions before, they're always there in qualifying. So I think it's going to be his.
And how chilled is that to go out at the start of Q2 on a used tyre, pump in one lap, and then just sit out, watch it. He's only done 6 laps in this whole qualifying session. The only driver that's done less is Nicholas Latifi, who was out in Q1, and I don't know what happened to Latifi on one of his runs, but they must have been aborted. People have done up to 15 laps, 16 laps Albon did, with his out before the red flag as well. Verstappen's only done 2 flying laps. It's very impressive to get through as quickly as he has. The Ferraris and the Mercedes look there or thereabouts, but they could beat Perez. I don't think they could beat Verstappen if Max hooks it all up.
Jenny?
Yeah, Max looks so mighty out there, doesn't he? I just wonder, actually, because he hasn't done that much running, maybe the others have a slight... I mean, we're talking a tiny advantage, but they're fresh. They've literally just done a run on a fresh set of soft tyres. They can go out there with that still in their minds. Well, Verstappen's been sitting around. Maybe he's taken a comfort break. I don't know. I'm just trying to big up the hype. And just on the drivers who have gone through that, maybe you think, wow, that's really impressive. I just wonder if experience pays for quite a lot here at Zandvoort. I think those drivers are drivers who have done quite a lot of running here, the likes of Schumacher, Tsunoda, Stroll. Are they maybe a little bit of a Zandvoort specialist? Does that count for anything?
Yeah, I mean, potentially. The more experience you have at a track, the better, of course. I don't remember. I'm just trying to think what Tsunoda would have... Did F2 race here last year? Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Tsunoda was in Formula 1 last year.
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry. So, yeah, Tsunoda did it last year, so he wouldn't have been on the Zandvoort.
I think it's a bit harsh to call them a Zandvoort specialist when they have a great quali. I think it's, they've out-qualified their teammate and they've just done a stellar job. Vettel made a mistake on his lap in Q1. He actually had similar pace to Stroll, but made a hash at the final proper corner, the penultimate corner, went through the gravel. Schumacher's been quicker than Magnussen all weekend. And Tsunoda, I don't think, would have particularly known this place, and he ended up in the gravel yesterday, beached. It's been a great recovery from Tsunoda, and good job from all three of them.
Yeah, I think Schumacher really knows the track, but so does Magnussen, and so does everyone around him. So, yeah, I mean, I think probably Tsunoda is the one that knows the track the least.
Absolutely. Well, Verstappen is out on circuit. 11 minutes on the clock. Won here from pole position last season. Prior to that, won his previous race at Zandvoort in the Masters Formula 3 race in 2015. And now he is out on circuit looking for another pole position. Norris, Perez, Schumacher out on circuit at the moment. And we'll see what Verstappen's benchmark time is as he makes his way out on the track. Less than half of the laps of Lance Stroll and Schumacher and Perez, but infinitely more fans as you hear the cheers come through. Verstappen, the winner of the race last season. Before that, the last Grand Prix was 1985, which was won by Nelson Piquet. 1984, won by Alain Prost. And Verstappen is getting cheered across the line now as he starts his flying lap. First of 2 runs in the fight for pole position. He'll go out, do a lap now, come back into the pits. New set of tyres, go again. He's very early out there, Verstappen. In fact, he's the first driver to be setting a lap time as he pushes it through turns 2 and then up through turn 3 at Hugenholtz. He's on the ragged edge.
Wow, he's really pushing on, twitching at the rear coming into turn 3, fighting the wheel coming out of it, riding the curve, and he comes through the first sector, and it's very quick from Max Verstappen. I think that's the fastest first sector we've seen all day by a little bit, still over Sebastian Vettel's Q1 effort, but the Red Bull is better round the rest of the lap. Understeering through turn 8, and then he's got to pick it up through the left-hander at turn 10. This is where it's really tricky to get on the power, and people have been fighting the rear of the car, but Verstappen has no such problem.
Heading down into the chicane now in the Red Bull. Another fast middle sector for Verstappen as he swings through the left-hander and heads down towards the final couple of corners. Lando Norris comes through the first sector and he's 6/10 away. Perez is only a 10th away from Verstappen in sector 1, but he's 3/10 adrift in sector 2. This could be a half a second advantage for Verstappen over his teammate. Here he comes across the line. It's a 1 minute 10.515 as he comes down into the first corner. It is quickest for Verstappen. Sergio Perez comes through in the other Red Bull and he goes up into second place, half a second away from Verstappen. But the Ferraris and the Mercedes are on their outlap now, but it's another Verstappen out of the pits, bang a lap in, back to the pits, just like his pole in Spa a week ago.
It was a great lap. I was just thinking probably a mid 1 minute 10 would be pole, and Verstappen has just gone and delivered that. But the 2 Ferraris and 2 Mercedes, they did 1 minute 10.8, so they're 3/10 down on that. Sainz and Russell, just about 10 minutes ago now at the end of Q2. Can they find a little bit? That might be achievable for them, but Verstappen's got another run. Everyone's got 2 runs at this to try and just dig a little deeper and find a bit more time. It was really, really good from Verstappen through that first sector, just bumping his way through Hugenholtz. Really abrasive, right up out onto the curb on the exit, maximising the track, but neatly in check at the rear end as well.
Right, here comes Russell. He's coming through the first sector now. Hamilton has just come across the line as well to start his first attempt at pole position. Sainz and Leclerc, the 2 Ferrari drivers, are out on circuit as well, just coming through the final corner. In fact, Leclerc just comes past the commentary box and starts his flying lap as Verstappen returns to the pit lane. First sector for Russell is quite a way away. Yes. Hamilton is better. Hamilton is less than a 10th down on Verstappen in sector 1.
Russell's first sector is not good. Mercedes have been better than that throughout the weekend so far, and Russell's dropped a couple of tenths to his teammate. Hamilton, as you said, is closer to the mix. George Russell's picking up some pace in the middle sector. He's now nearly half a second down on Verstappen. It's too much.
Leclerc's quicker. Leclerc is quicker through the first sector in the Ferrari. Faster than Max Verstappen in the first third of the lap. Russell is coming through the final couple of corners. Hamilton is faster than Verstappen in the middle sector, so he's only 200ths down with a third of the lap to go. Russell out across the line. This isn't going to be competitive from the British driver. He slots into third place behind both of the Red Bulls. Leclerc's over a 10th up on Verstappen after the middle sector. Here comes Hamilton across the line in the Mercedes, and he goes second, slower than Verstappen by just over a 10th of a second. But now Charles Leclerc gets on the power, coming out of the final corner at Arie Luyendyk. Sainz is in the mix. He's about a 10th away after the middle sector split. Charles Leclerc to the line now in the Ferrari and takes provisional pole. 600ths ahead of Max Verstappen. Leclerc quickest, Verstappen second. Where will Sainz slot in the other Ferrari? The answer is fourth, slower than Hamilton. So after the first runs, Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, the top three, less than 2/10 separating them, with Sainz in fourth, Perez in fifth, Russell in sixth, Norris, Tsunoda, Schumacher and Stroll all on a set of used tyres on that first run, or not setting a time in the case of Lance Stroll. This is tight.
Game on. Game on. Really, really great lap from Charles Leclerc then to beat Max Verstappen. 600ths in it. Hamilton was flying as well through 2 seconds. I don't think he got the cleanest exit out of the final corner, and he lost time all the way to the line and ended up just over a 10th of a second down on Verstappen, who has beads of sweat dripping from his forehead now, waiting in the garage, watching that. He has one lap to try and save a home pole position.
This is good. Very good stuff. Charles Leclerc quickest, Verstappen second, Hamilton third, the top three. And then, as I say, Sainz in fourth. I wonder if Perez was on a set of used tyres. Perez and Russell potentially, because they maybe had to do a run earlier on today.
You're absolutely right.
There you go.
Oh, it could be a 6-car fight for pole position.
Jenny, how are you?
Oh, very excited. And actually, it's fascinating because I'm watching all of the drivers who have already been eliminated come in to the paddock, and all of them are standing and having a look at what's happening in the rest of qualifying. I think as Esteban Ocon pointed that Mick Schumacher was still in this, he was like, oh, look at that. And then Gasly was mesmerised. The AlphaTauri driver was just standing there in front of the TV screens watching it all, especially Verstappen's lap. And he was just shaking his head. And you speak to these drivers, and even they will say that Verstappen is just driving brilliantly this season. The car is brilliant. What they've done with Red Bull is phenomenal, the work they've done, and he is just in the form of his life.
Second quickest. Charles Leclerc, provisional pole at the moment. Verstappen second, Hamilton third. And Stroll has a technical problem in the Aston Martin team, so he won't be joining the session at all. That's the end of his session. But top 10 is a good effort for Lance Stroll, with 4 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. Everybody will leave the pits in about 2 minutes, go for a second run, then we'll have a pole sitter.
I like it. The pressure's really on now for everyone. Leclerc is not out of the woods. He's provisional pole, but everyone can improve. The track evolution throughout this hour has been pretty significant, even compared to Q2 to Q3. They found 4/10, nearly half a second. So Leclerc cannot rest on his laurels out front. Verstappen knows he must improve to take this pole position. Hamilton, I think he's got more in it in that Mercedes. They're right a match for the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. And then you've got Sainz, maybe under-delivered slightly in that first run. And Perez and Russell are on used tyres. They can all dig in and find it, but a mistake from any of them could leave them as far as low down as 6th.
3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. A reminder, you can hear the Grand Prix in 23 hours time, 3 o'clock here in the Netherlands, tomorrow on Sports Extra, or here on the BBC Sport website, or wherever you're listening now, to be honest. You can hear the Grand Prix tomorrow, or you can listen on Sports Extra as well. You two have one more chance to change your mind. You've both backed Verstappen. Leclerc's on provisional pole. Beitske, stick or twist?
I'm not going to change my opinion.
Okay. Palmer, Mr. Change of opinion every week if you read some of his articles on the internet.
I know, I just call what I see, Jack. And what I see is I still think Max Verstappen is going to take this.
2 minutes and 40 seconds to go.
The pecking order changes week to week.
I know. I'm just teasing you. Jenny, you went for Hamilton.
Sticking. Why would you twist? Just stay firm.
To win.
I like to take part. Stroll not taking part in this session, as you said, technical problem. I feel really gutted for him. That Aston Martin was looking so good, and you got Vettel out in the first part, and Stroll not able to go through Q3 and try and improve. So disappointing.
Yeah, frustration for the Aston Martin team, but still a good qualifying for Lance Stroll, who is currently down in 19th in the championship, just 4 10th place finishes this season. It was only 4 points of the year.
He got nudged down behind Alex Albon after Albon's point in Belgium as well, by virtue of 11th place finishes.
It was a 9th for Albon in Miami, wasn't it?
Ah, yeah, you're right, because Alonso got the penalty.
Yellow flag in Sector 1. Hamilton is in Sector 1, but he's just made it through Sector 1, so I'm not sure. Now it's a green flag, so I'm not sure what that was about. But here we go, the battle for pole position about to commence. Leclerc is first on track, and then it is Verstappen, then it is Sainz, then it's Perez, then it's Russell, then it's Hamilton. So that is the order that they will come across the line in. Charles Leclerc will be first to set the time. Verstappen coming through the chicane now, down towards the final corner, but Leclerc is already on the power coming through sector 1. Into the left-hander at Hugenholtz, back on the power in the Scarlet Ferrari, racing between the sand dunes on the coast of the North Sea. It's just about half an hour or so outside of Amsterdam, and Leclerc has done a very fast first sector. He's 400ths up than what he managed previously in sector 1. Verstappen starting his lap now, Perez starts his lap now, and then Hamilton is still on his outlap, so the Mercedes are going to be the last ones to come across the line. Verstappen through the first sector. What does it compare to Charles Leclerc? It's a little bit slower. Not quite a 10th in it, but it is a little bit slower. Leclerc's dropped away in the middle sector, though. He's a 10th adrift. Sainz has done a good sector 1. Takes a lot of curve, does Leclerc, coming through the chicane, and all of a sudden he's not actually improving. Verstappen is improving as he comes through the middle sector. Leclerc out across the line, opens the DRS, drives towards the timing beam, and he does improve in the final sector. Does a 1 minute 10.3, but Verstappen is going faster.
Fastest middle sector of anyone for Max Verstappen. This is a really, really strong rest of the lap after he lost a little bit in the first sector, gets on the gas, comes through the flat-out banked Harry Lyondike final corner. This could be it.
We've still got the Mercedes to come, but Verstappen comes across the line and goes quicker than Leclerc by 200ths. Verstappen goes to provisional pole. Carlos Sainz next across the line. He gets up into 3rd place. Hamilton and Russell are out there, and I don't think they're improving, and Perez has spun. Perez has spun at the final corner, and that's it. It's done. Well, Russell might have just got through without finding the yellow flag. No, he's backed off. So Russell 6th, and then it is 4th for Hamilton, and a spin for Max Verstappen, and his teammate Sergio Perez has guaranteed Verstappen pole position for the Dutch Grand Prix. Verstappen on pole, Leclerc 2nd, Sainz 3rd, Hamilton 4th, Perez 5th, Russell, Norris, Schumacher, Tsunoda, the 9 drivers. And to be fair, the Mercedes weren't rapidly improving, and it was a big spin from Perez. Did he hit the barrier? No, managed to keep it out of the wall, but that was quite a big spin for Perez at the end, Beitske.
Yeah, he just came out a bit too wide and started to lose the rear already before hitting the curb, and then once you hit the curb, it is gone.
But it is Verstappen on pole by 200ths of a second, and here's his radio.
I think that's it, mate. 2nd year in a row, pole position.
Simply lovely, mate. What a good recovery.
That is a great turnaround, Max. Great day.
Well done, Max. That was a mighty middle sector. Mighty. Well done, mate.
Good result that after yesterday, so we recovered that well.
100,000 fans around Zandvoort, all on their feet. They watched the whole of the qualifying session stood up in the grandstand opposite us. They've just applauded Verstappen back in, who gave them a big wave as he returned into Parc Fermé. Really, really tight session that, but it is Verstappen who comes out on top by 200ths of a second, and that'll be, I mean, Ferrari are back in there. It shows that Spa was a anomaly, but Verstappen's still on unbelievable form.
Yeah, this is a track that really favours Ferrari, and Verstappen has still pinched pole position, but both Ferraris were within a 10th. Was really, really tight there, and Max did put together a stellar lap at the end. That middle sector was the fastest and the strongest that we've seen really through the weekend. It really set up that pole position for him. The Ferraris were quicker in the 1st and 3rd sectors, but Verstappen's middle sector made it, and his teammate spinning meant the Mercedes couldn't go for it either. I don't think Hamilton or Russell... Conspiracy. But you know what? Max was so unhappy that Sergio Perez had the spin in Monaco that he felt cost him a better grid slot and a chance to win the race. This time Perez has had a spin and it's denied his opposition chance to beat Max. So karma, as they say.
Very good. I'm gonna twist and say Verstappen for pole. Leclerc in 2nd, Sainz 3rd, Hamilton 4th, Perez 5th, Russell, Norris, Schumacher, Tsunoda and Stroll the top 10. Gasly, Ocon, Alonso, Zhou and Albon the top 15. Bottas, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Vettel and Latifi the 20 drivers. And you, Beitske, you never had any doubts that Verstappen would be on pole?
I mean, you're never sure. I mean, I knew it was gonna be close, but yeah, I mean, with the orange crowd here, you have to have Max on pole.
Yeah. Verstappen was asked, actually, because Nigel Mansell once said something, you know, sort of Nigel Mansley, where he said the home crowd at Silverstone gave him half a second a lap or something, and Tom Clarkson asked Verstappen that in the press conference, and Verstappen just laughed and said, no, I wish that were true, but it's certainly given him some motivations for the Dutch racer to secure pole at his home Grand Prix. A little high five between he and Charles Leclerc. Leclerc's going to be so frustrated with that. Sainz in the end did a 4.34, so they were all within a tenth of a second, weren't they? Verstappen, Leclerc and Sainz all within a tenth of a second at the end.
I just think Mercedes are going to be so miffed. They went out late, they were the last across the line, and they did that to try and take the best of the track evolution, so the extra laps, the rubber down that was laid down by all the rest of the top 10 out there. But the risk of that is you can get caught out with the yellow flag.
Well, let's hear from the top three, starting with Max Verstappen. He's talking to Guido van der Garde.
Max Verstappen, for the second time in a row, pole position. That must be feeling great on your home soil.
Unbelievable. It's especially after yesterday as well. We had a difficult day. But I think we worked really well overnight with the whole team to turn it around, and today we had a quick race car again, but it was very close, and a lap around here, a qualifying lap, is insane.
Did you make a lot of changes compared to from yesterday to today?
We changed a lot because yesterday was a bit rushed in FP2 to get the car together, but yeah, today it was again enjoyable to drive.
One Dutch question, I mean, if you look all the fans here, dat moet wel echt heel erg mooi voelen, lijkt mij, toch?
Ja, dat is ongelooflijk. Natuurlijk super om zoveel oranje hier te zien en de steun natuurlijk het hele weekend. Ongelooflijk, dankjewel.
Succes. Good luck. Charles, that was close.
Yeah, very, very close. I mean, Max did a great lap in the end, and our car was getting better and better through qualifying. At the beginning, I was pretty scared because Max was much quicker than us on used tires. But then in Q3, the car came a bit more together, and I managed to do that lap, which was close enough for P2. But yeah, tomorrow is the race, and we'll give it all.
Hey, I mean, the car's working much better this weekend than last weekend, obviously. Yeah, there's much more downforce needed here. What do you think you can do tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we are much stronger here compared to last weekend, so that's good to see. And for tomorrow, I think our race pace looks quite strong. It's going to be close with the Red Bull, but we just need to do a great start, and then we'll see.
Good luck, man. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was Charles Leclerc, and now Carlos Sainz speaking to Guido van der Garde after qualifying third.
Carlos, congrats, P3. You happy with the lap?
Yeah, it was a clean lap with no mistakes. Just missing that last half attempt to the attempt, you know, to beat Charles and Max. It was on the limit out there. Every little meter of track that you could use and that you could push was counting. It wasn't an easy quality from Q1 to Q2 to Q3, but I think in the end we did a decent job.
How is this track physically? Because you don't have a lot of straight line to recover yourself. Is it hard?
It is very tough out there, especially with these heavier cars. The track is especially demanding on the tires. We have a lot of overheating during the lap, even in the long runs, a lot of degradation. So I think tomorrow is going to be an interesting day. There's going to be a lot going on, even if it's a difficult track to overtake. There's going to be still many options with the strategies.
Perfect. Good luck, man. All the best.
Thank you.
So your top three, it's Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, the two Ferrari drivers, and then Max Verstappen on pole position once again. And tomorrow he will take on 72 laps of this stunning Zandvoort circuit and the hope of winning another Dutch Grand Prix, another Grand Prix this season, and extending his lead at the top of the championship. 93 points at present. What will it be this time tomorrow? Make sure you join us. The race gets underway at 2 o'clock UK time, 3 o'clock local time. The sun is expected to be shining and the fans in fine voice. This has been an IMG production for BBC Radio 5 Live.